So I'm going to show you how to disconnect your bioquantum if you're moving, or if you just need to move it somewhere for a bit. So I'm going to show you how to disconnect it. I'm going to show you how to turn off the angle stop, how to unplug the hoses, turn off the machine, all that stuff. So first, we got to turn off the angle stop. So your machine is probably going to be near a water source, like a faucet or something, and underneath it you should see a angle stop. Let me get one here to show you how it looks like. So under your sink, you're gonna have one of these probably, and it's a blue ball valve. It'll be connected to some other plumbing underneath your sink, and this is what it feeds the system. And then you'll have your dual tubing here, so like blue and white tubing coming out from the drain and from here. So to turn off the angle stop, we must make it not in line anymore. So it's now crossing. This is in line, that means it's on. This means it is off. What we want is this. Before everything, we have to stop the water to the machine. So to stop the water to the machine, you gotta do this. So underneath the sink, you'll see one of these. And then we're just, it'll probably look like this, because it'll be on. You gotta turn it off like this. So now it's no longer in line, it will no longer feed the machine. So that's what we gotta do before everything else. I test machines here, so I have a different little setup here. So my setup here is, so my feed line is this right here. After I turn off my feed line, I can actually start removing the machine, or start the process to get it ready to move. Now what we gotta do now is the machine is on, like you see. We gotta turn it off. There are some switches on the back here. You see some switches here. There are right here. They say cold and hot. We want to turn them both off, and then they're both off, we want to unplug the machine. So on the machine, you're gonna have two outlets here. One for the machine itself, and one for the ozonator, and it'll be connected to a what's it called? It'll be connected to it'll be connected to one of these. Let me show you. It should be connected to one of these. Your machine should be connected to one of these. So we're gonna unplug it basically. Here I have this, so yours will look like this probably. It'll be connected to the wall. We're just gonna disconnect it all, and once we disconnect it all, the machine should be totally off. And once it is off, we can start actually pulling water from the machine. So some of the water is gonna be really hot in here. So if you don't want to do it, if you don't want to have the chance of burning yourself, I would unplug the machine and let the water cool off that's in there. It's insulated, so it's gonna take a bit to get it to cool down. Probably 3 or 5 hours or more to get it to cool down, I imagine. So if you're in a rush to remove the water, then I advise you wear safety gear, goggles, clothing. That'll it'll cause any scalding liquid to not damage you. So since I'm in a hurry, I'm gonna start draining it. And the first thing we gotta do is just start draining it from the cold side. So I'm just gonna drain constantly from the cold side until there's no more water coming out of here. It should stop making water because we turned off the feed line. So now that so 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 just is basically we're just gonna constantly pull water out of here with the glass until there's no more water left in there. And then once there's no more water coming out of there, I'm not gonna do it all here in one video because it's gonna be very time consuming. We're gonna remove the door here to get to the bottom tank. So what you wanna do is grab the sides of the door, push down and pull towards you. That releases the door. And then put it here on the side. And once you have the door open, let me scooch this down. You're gonna see a screw, a little thing right here. It's has a cross on it. It's a little black cap, little black screw cap that holds the hot water. So what we're gonna do is you have to have a bucket. I have a 5-gallon bucket here. That's what I recommend because this machine holds about 4 gallons or about 4 gallons. So once we do that, there's a little flexible hose behind this. Let me get a better angle. There's a little flexible hose behind this black cap, and what I want you to do is just squeeze it from the back, like I'm doing. We're squeezing like a hose. Okay, so I'm gonna squeeze my hose here, and I'm gonna start removing the cap. And then once I remove the cap, I'm gonna grab my bucket, put it underneath the and I'm gonna there, and I'm gonna release the hose. So now I'm just gonna let the water catch. I would monitor this because if you didn't let the water cool, it'll start shooting out very hot water. So yeah, we're just gonna release all the water that's in there. So yeah, this shouldn't take the longest. It'll probably take longer to withdraw what's in the coal tank, and that's how we up here, how we were doing it here with the faucet. We're just gonna drain everything that's in the machine basically. So the top tank is why we use this glass, and the bottom tank is why we do this bucket thing, because the machine has 2 tanks on it. As you can see, there's some steam coming off of the water. It is very, very hot, about 160, 70 degrees. You don't want to touch this. It'll burn you very well. So yeah, it's just let it run so there's no more water coming out of it. So it should start to, you'll see the stream isn't as strong as it once was. Once we get to a certain amount, I like to put some glass underneath so it catches anything that may fall out. So after that is done, it's still a little bit more. Nothing under, it's still drip now. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm gonna put the cap back on. Okay, once the cap is back on, the machine should now be empty because we moved everything out of this bottom tank through here, and then you should have removed everything out of this out of the cold dispenser. You just have to use the cold dispenser for this part. So once there's no more water coming out of the cold dispenser either, what you want to do is disconnect the hoses from the back. And all BioQuantums have a drain hose and an inlet hose. They should be labeled. So here's outlet, that means drain, and then the one on the bottom here is going to be the inlet, which is the feed. Your drain might be lower down here. This one's pretty high up here. So what I'm gonna do is show you how to disconnect the hoses. This is the drain hose. So to disconnect the hose, there's a fitting. It's got a little collar piece on that wraps around the tubing itself. And what you want to do is press down on the collar and then pull. So yeah, there's a little collar that's in here. It moves around, and that's how there's a little. The hose goes in there and locks in. Same with the inlet hose here. You got an inlet hose here. It's gonna say inlet. The same situation. We want to press down on the collar and pull the hose out while we're pushing down on the collar. And that releases the system entirely. It shouldn't be connected to anything else now. So we unplugged it, and then we took the tubings out. Once the tubings are out and the machine is disconnected, you're ready to move the machine because there's no more water in it. It should be free to move around. Alright, so we gotta put the door back on. Let's do that. And here we go. Here's the door. And then to put the door back on, let me show you. All the doors, this is the bottom of the door. It has a little spring here. Pushes down. So what you want to do is get that little hole in the center, between that middle, that hole right there in the center. You want to get that spring piece in the center, and then you want to push down and push away, and it should just snap back. It should go back in. So that's how to put the door back on. Make sure to hit the sides if it's a little uneven. And now what I would just advise is once it's ready to move is grabbing these loose power cables. You'll have a cable coming out of the ozonator. There's not one coming out here right now. And then there's one coming out of the machine itself. Probably want to wrap those up and tie them to the machine somehow so they don't drag. So that's all I had to say, other than make sure you secure it on a dolly if you are moving it, so it doesn't fall by any chance. You don't want it falling on the side, could cause damage. So yeah, that should be it. We ran over everything. We turned off the we turned off the angle stop underneath the sink that's probably connected to this. we unplugged the machine from both outlets out of its what I showed you, and then after that we pulled all the water out of the machine by pulling out of here and then pulling that out of the bottom here. So put the door back, and then yeah, so you should be able to move it now once the cables are all managed, and it should be good to go. All right, thank you, and bye-bye.